The battlefield was a scene of utter chaos. Smoke curled into the sky, tanks lay twisted and burnt out, and the sound of distant artillery echoed through the shattered countryside of Normandy. Amidst this devastation stood a small but determined force, the 1st Polish Armored Division, facing the retreating German army. How could just a few thousand Polish soldiers hold back an overwhelming German force? And why has the world almost forgotten their extraordinary courage? The morning air over the Normandy countryside was thick with smoke and the acrid stench of burning fuel. The roads were littered with twisted wrecks of tanks, abandoned trucks, and scattered personal belongings, boots, helmets, a child's toy perhaps, lost to the chaos of war. Every village, every farmhouse, every hedge line seemed to carry the scars of a relentless struggle. This was the northern edge of the Falaise Pocket, a cauldron of death and desperation, where the retreating German army clashed with an unlikely force, the 1st Polish Armored Division. Few had expected these Poles to hold the line. Outnumbered, outgunned, facing seasoned German veterans and elite SS divisions, they were tasked with one of the most dangerous missions of the entire Normandy campaign: to block the escape route at Chambois and Mont-Ormel. Known simply as Hill 262, their orders were simple in words, but deadly in practice: stop the Germans from slipping through. No matter the cost, General Stanisław Masak, commander of the 1st Polish Armored Division, understood the stakes better than anyone. A veteran of mobile warfare, he had already proven his brilliance in France and the Netherlands, and now he faced his most critical test. Masak knew that if even a fraction of the German forces escaped the pocket, thousands of lives would be lost, and the Allies' hard-won campaign in Normandy could be prolonged. He also knew the human cost would be staggering. Yet he trusted his men, and they trusted him. The Germans approaching were no ordinary force. Elite S-Panzer divisions, hardened by years of brutal combat, advanced in waves. The 2nd SS Panzer Division, Das Reich, and the 9th SS Panzer Division, Hohenstaufen, were backed by remnants of infantry and armor from multiple units. By some estimates, the Polish division was facing the equivalent of 7 German divisions. For a moment, it seemed impossible that a few thousand soldiers could stand against such a storm, but the Poles did not falter. The first clashes erupted along the narrow roads leading to Hill 262. Sherman tanks, though inferior to the German Tigers in armor and firepower, were placed strategically along narrow roads and in villages. Their crews knew that a direct clash would be deadly, so they relied on ambush, flanking maneuvers, and the terrain itself: dense hedgerows, sunken lanes, and ruined buildings, to offset the enemy's numerical and technical superiority. One of the most intense engagements occurred near a small village along the northern approach to Hill 262. A platoon of Polish infantry, supported by 2 Sherman tanks, awaited the German advance. The first Tiger rolled into sight, its massive gun threatening to destroy everything in seconds. Yet the Poles did not panic. The tanks fired carefully, using concealed positions, while infantry units opened fire from the flanks. The Tiger was disabled after a tense firefight that lasted several minutes, creating a domino effect of confusion and delay among the German forces. Meanwhile, Masak's command posts were a hive of coordination. Radio operators relayed information about enemy movements, artillery units prepared fire missions, and reconnaissance units reported every gap in the German lines. Masak constantly shifted reserves to threatened sectors, often moving his small forces over difficult terrain to plug gaps or exploit weaknesses. His decisions were precise, measured, and risky, but they paid off. Every maneuver, every counterattack, slowed the German retreat and inflicted heavy casualties. The psychological strain on the soldiers was immense. Hours turned into days, with little rest, constant exposure to artillery fire, and the sight of comrades falling around them. Yet, their resolve never wavered. Letters written home from the front reveal a mix of fear, determination, and a profound sense of duty. Men described watching German columns crumble under their attacks, knowing that each delay could save hundreds of Allied lives elsewhere. Others wrote of the exhaustion and despair, of holding positions when their tanks were destroyed and ammunition running low, yet still standing firm. By the second day, the Polish division had suffered devastating losses. Their tank regiment was almost destroyed, yet infantry units continued to fight in villages, forests, and along roads. The Germans, though shocked by the resistance, continued to throw everything into breaking through. 2nd S. Panzer das Reich and 9th S. Panzer Hohenstaufen launched repeated attacks, sometimes at night, hoping to overwhelm the defenders. Each assault was repelled, often with severe losses for the attackers. The fighting reached a climax on Hill 262 itself. Polish units were pinned on a narrow ridge, their flanks threatened, their positions under constant artillery and mortar fire. German troops attempted to outflank the ridge, but the Poles held critical points with tenacity. Sherman tanks, despite being inferior, were used aggressively, exploiting the enemy's lack of cover. Artillery fire rained down, carefully coordinated to hit enemy columns while avoiding friendly positions. By mid-afternoon, German forces began to realize that breaking through would be impossible. The trap of Falaise had tightened, and thousands of German soldiers were trapped inside. The human cost of this battle was staggering. Across the 1st Polish Armored Division, hundreds lay dead, many more were wounded. Vehicles and tanks littered the battlefield, their crews either fallen or forced to abandon them. Yet, the division had achieved its goal. They held the northern shoulder of the Falaise pocket, preventing a significant portion of the German army from escaping. The sacrifice of these soldiers had changed the course of the campaign, accelerating the liberation of France and weakening the German forces in the west. Maczek's genius lay not only in strategy but in leadership. He inspired loyalty and courage, ensuring that even when units were isolated or heavily outnumbered, morale remained high. Soldiers followed him because they trusted his decisions and shared his understanding of the mission's importance. His use of combined arms, tanks, infantry, artillery, and terrain was a masterclass in mobile warfare. Even after the battle, military analysts noted how a relatively small, well-coordinated force had inflicted catastrophic losses on a much larger opponent. After the battle, as the war progressed, the 1st Polish Armored Division continued to fight across France, Belgium, and the Netherlands, contributing to key victories and ultimately entering Germany itself. Yet, despite their undeniable achievements, their story was largely forgotten in the post-war years, after the guns fell silent and the smoke finally cleared over Falaise. The story of the 1st Polish Armored Division should have been celebrated across the world. Yet history has a cruel irony. In the aftermath of World War II, Poland fell under Soviet influence, and the heroism of those who had fought for the West was largely erased from textbooks and public memory. The battles that had saved countless lives, the hours of holding impossible positions, the courage against overwhelming odds, all were relegated to the margins of history. General Stanisław Maczek, the man whose leadership had been pivotal to the success at Falaise, could not return to his homeland. Stripped of recognition in Poland, he spent his later years in Scotland, far from the country he had served with unwavering dedication. He took a humble job as a waiter, serving meals quietly, his days of commanding tanks and soldiers reduced to memories, stories, and medals tucked away in drawers. For many, this seemed a tragic injustice, one of the greatest military leaders of the 20th century, living in relative obscurity. Yet, in Poland and in the places they fought, small monuments, memorials, and plaques stand today, quietly testifying to their courage. Hill 262 is marked, Villages where fierce fights took place bear inscriptions, and statues commemorate those who gave their lives. These memorials are more than stone and metal. They are enduring evidence that bravery can exist even when the world looks away. The men of the 1st Polish Armored Division were true heroes. Their names may not appear in every history book. Their stories may not be told in movies. Yet their actions changed the course of the war. They held back elite German divisions, saved countless lives, and ensured that the Normandy campaign ended in decisive victory. One small division, a resolute commander, and men willing to sacrifice everything had shaped the fate of Europe. As we reflect on their legacy, it becomes clear that heroism is not measured by fame or recognition. It is measured by courage in the face of overwhelming odds, by the willingness to endure hardship for a greater cause, and by the impact of one's actions on the lives of others. These Polish soldiers exemplified all of that. They fought, they endured, and they triumphed, even if the world almost forgot them. Their story is a call to remember, to honor, and to learn from history. Each statue, each memorial, and every recounting of their deeds serves as a reminder that the bravery of the few can alter the course of nations. The 1st Polish Armored Division at Falaise was more than a military unit. It was a symbol of resilience, loyalty, and sacrifice. In the end, their heroism was not just in victory, but in the unwavering commitment to stand firm when all seemed lost. A small force, a great determination, and strategic brilliance had left an indelible mark on the war. They remind us that courage matters, that sacrifice matters, and that even forgotten heroes deserve their story to be told. So let us remember them. The men who stood on the northern shoulder of the Falaise pocket, who faced overwhelming odds and refused to yield. Their names, their deeds, and their courage deserve to live on. They are the forgotten heroes of World War II, and it is up to us to ensure that they are never forgotten again.